In March of last year, when the pandemic was just beginning, elected leaders, school boards, and government health authorities were not taking action on schools and the health and safety risk of in-person learning during a pandemic. We took action. As UTLA, we demanded that schools be closed and that remote learning be instituted. A few days later, the district agreed. School districts across the country followed. Since then, we have been engaged with key issues confronting how we improve crisis distance learning, as well as defending the right to keep our students and schools safe. We have fought every attempt to push us back to schools unsafely. And we have won those battles. We have kept ourselves, our students, and our communities safer. Even as our urban peer school districts and those around us were forced to open, we were able to hold the line until it was safe. In New York City, where they returned too early and unsafely, schools went through the traumatic effect of patchwork of openings and closures. Pre-K through 5th grade reopened in December 2020. Secondary schools will be reopening March 22nd. Educators are now just getting access to vaccines. In Chicago, schools began in-person learning January 2021, and educators were forced back without receiving vaccines first. They are just getting them now, slowly. CTU did weeks of direct and protest actions in order to bargain the conditions of their return. Closer to home, here in Long Beach, schools will return March the 29th to in-person learning and instruction. 2 weeks ago, we took a bold step. We met as chapter leaders and decided to organize our co-workers to refuse to return if our 3 safety conditions were not met. We won all 3 of our conditions. 1, Los Angeles County must be at the red tier. LAUSD agrees to negotiate with UTLA on the impact of any change criteria for risk level tier changes or any change to the Los Angeles County risk tier after being in the red tier. 2, vaccinations. All unit members reporting to district schools or work sites must have the opportunity, eligibility, and access to be fully vaccinated for achieved immunity at prescribed schedule, including the time required to achieve immunity after receiving the full dosage. Safety conditions. LAUSD must follow the PPE, social distancing, cleaning, and ventilation protocols, in addition to all guidelines issued by the state and county. We have the gold standard in health and safety conditions, including 3 sick days if you have a reaction to the vaccine and paid time for quarantining if you are exposed to the virus. To ensure compliance, each school will have a COVID compliance task force to make sure the proper cleaning, health, and safety measures are in place. Daily, a safety enforcement checklist will be completed to ensure compliance. Everyone coming on a campus will be screened and be required to wear a mask, and all staff and students will be tested at least every 2 weeks while we are in the red tier. Hand sanitizer and washing stations must be provided throughout the school. 6 feet social distancing will be enforced, and ventilation standards, including only using classrooms with higher rated HVAC systems. The agreement, which is only for the 2020 to 2021 school year, will allow school communities to hold the district accountable for these conditions, as opposed to conditions we may not have control over without an agreement. UTLA members will be voting to ratify the tentative agreement starting this Thursday, March the 18th, through Sunday, March the 21st. Chapter chairs voted overwhelmingly last Thursday to endorse the agreement and will be holding meetings to discuss the details. Be sure to review the agreement. A no vote means we don't have an agreement, and that LAUSD will be allowed the directive to unilaterally reopen physical school sites without our enforceable safety conditions in place. Don't forget to place your vote.